I think we got our quarter panel installed now. This is a different quarter panel. This ain't the same one. Remember that. Let's go check it out. Let's see what I had to do to get this thing to work right. So what I did, I went ahead and trimmed it all down to the same specs almost as the other quarter panel. And when I first cut this quarter panel, this is how much I cut on it right here. This is our line that you're looking at right here. This was where I cut it off using my plasma cutter. And then once I cut it, I went ahead and fit it on here and moved it around. As you can see, I had to cut this off, and you can see, if you look real close, you can see this line lines up pretty close with this line here, so that's looking good right there. And then I went ahead and trimmed this door out so we could put that on. You can see that fits really good. But the way that I came to this measurement here is when this piece was still on here, I went ahead and took my scribe tool, and if you look real close, you can see where I made a line here and a line there. All right? See how I made those lines right here? And then I also made a point right here, and it says butt. That means that this section right here is butt welded because there's a frame section in there, and I can't use my tool. What do we call that tool? I keep forgetting the name of this tool. I'll show it to you in a second. But anyway, so I traced out where the mark was, and then what I did is I took my tape measure and I measured from that line down. This was where it originally was when I first cut it off, down to our flange. That's what it's called right there. There's our flange. Okay. Now, of course, if you look down in here, you'll see that we're going to be butt welding this, and I still got to trim just a hair of that. We can actually flange weld that right there where it's at. And yeah, so we're going to do something with that. But you can see where the flange is. So I measured from here down to the top of the flange, and then I went back and I cut that much off. And then you can see where I came around here and I cut it off, and there's a flange. Here's the flange lip right there. So that's a good one there. I like that. And then if you look right here, we're going to butt weld this area together. Now, we got this clamp holding it in place right now, and I will say that this quarter panel here fits 1,000 times, 100 times better than the quarter panel that we had. I also want you to look up inside here, and if you look close, you can see our fender well is installed temporarily with a couple screws. Once we get the quarter panel where it fits properly, we'll go ahead and take that off. This quarter panel is a very nice quarter panel. It's a very nice replica, and it worked out very, very well. Anyway, back to the story. What we're doing now, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. What we got here is we got our tail light panel that we cut out. Now, if you remember properly, we went ahead and cut the section that we needed. We cut it approximately 2 inches longer and overlapped it. So I went ahead and I fit that in there. And then what I came up with is I went ahead and took my flange tool, and you can see right here where the flange is. I went ahead and measured that flange, which comes out to be 1/2 inch. And then if you look at the line on the back of the panel, you can see here's the original panel. And then what we'll do, instead of cutting it off right there, I went ahead and made my marks, my 1/2 inch marks. There's one right there, there's another one right there, there's one right there, or actually that's 3/8. And then what I'll do is I'll run a piece of tape down this section here, and then I will cut that off. What we're looking at, this is the outside lip. Remember, I cut it 2 inches longer because I knew I'd have to trim it. But in this area down here, we're not going to be able to flange that. That's going to be a butt weld. So what we'll do is we will measure, once we get this measured out for the flange, what we'll do is we will find our measurements, and then we will cut off what we need to make this a flange weld. So I don't want to cut this off yet, and the reason I don't want to cut that off is because we need to make a flange weld on from here to here. Let's go ahead and put that back on there and see what we got one more time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install this temporarily like it's supposed to be. And I will tell you this is actually a different branded piece of metal here than what we're using. This is the problem you run into using these aftermarket parts. Is this is from some other company, this is from a company, And this might be from some stamp out in that part of Taiwan, and this one's from that stamp. So we don't know what we're working with, but we got to do the best we can. What I got here is a pry bar. This is called a crow's foot. And I'm going to stick it in the bumper hole just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and line that up, because this has got to be a real tight fit here, remember? And we're working with aftermarket parts. Just want to let you know. So we want that right there. And then what I'm going to do while I'm holding that, I'm going to go ahead and get my vice grips. Where did I put the vice grips? That's the question. Are they in the trunk? Yes, they are. Okay, we're going to get our vice grips out. And while we're holding that in place where we want it, we're going to go ahead and, this is where two sets of hands come in handy, is when you're doing this kind of stuff. When you're doing it alone and you don't have any hands to help you, you just got to do what you got to do to get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp that right there. If I could get it clamped on there. It was clamping before, and now it won't clamp. Okay. So what you saw me do is I took my crow's foot, all right, or anything that you can use as a shank, and I lined up my bumper holes, all right? We're going to mess with this later. You can see how it moves in and out, and it has a pretty good fit here. I like that. So as long as it's a nice tight fit here, we're going to be okay. We got to put some spot welds inside here, and what our main concern is lining up these holes right here for our bumper. So while I have that on there just like that, I'm going to go ahead and take my scriber tool, which I thought I brought over here. Did I bring it over here? Where is all my tools walking away to? I think my tools are starting to go on strike. Good. So while I got it sitting here, this is just a rough line. I'm going to take my scribe tool and I'm going to scribe down on that. And one reason you want to use a scribe tool on this, if you use a pencil or a pen, look what we got here. We got a gap. That means that it's not a super tight fit there, okay? So we want to be very careful with that. But we want to make a scribe from right here, all right, down. We really don't care about up here because we're going to end up cutting this section off anyway. But on this piece right here, we want to go ahead and scribe that just to see where we're at, because we might actually cut this off and leave this on. So it's always good to have your line where it is before you do anything. So we'll go ahead and remove this panel off of the vehicle just like that. And the way that you see me measuring this out and doing all this is the same exact way I basically did on the quarter panel. I was just frustrated at the time and I wanted to get it done, and I didn't have all day. That was an all-day job, by the way, fitting that quarter panel on there, just to let you know. So like I said, I went ahead and made my measurements, but we're not going to, remember, right to here. Okay, let's see, let's look at our quarter panel. Okay, so approximately right to here, right in this area right here, all right, that's where we're going to stop. So we're going to bring that around right to here, and then we're going to say right there, and it looks like there's an indentation there. Okay, we're not going to cut that yet, so just hang on. I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and take my tape, and remember those marks I said I made? All right, you might not be able to see them, but they're here. So we're going to go ahead and find our marks, just like this. And I'm going to put my tape right on the edge of that mark. That's another reason we want to use scribe tools. And we want to keep all this real straight through all the grooves. Make sure you got a nice straight line there. Or follow whatever the contour of the fender is, or whatever you're working with, the rear tail panel. And then we're going to go ahead and cut a straight line here, and then I'm going to cut it out right here. And then on the bottom of this, what I'm going to do, all right, is I'm going to go ahead and take my tape again, and I'm going to go out approximately a ½ an inch, just like you see me doing here. This is actually 3/4 inch tape. So we're going to come out approximately a ½ an inch, and then I'm going to make a nice straight line. You can see me doing this. Okay, there's a nice straight line right there. And then what I'll do is I'll cut that off, and then we'll be ready to fix this up as a fit panel that will fit in there perfectly and work properly. Alright, so now you can see what kind of cut we got going on here. Alright, this is where our flange is going to go, and then from here down we will butt weld that. Now we got to make one more modification, and that's right here where this lip meets the lip on the car. We'll have to butt weld that too, so let's go over there and mark that and get it cut. Okay, what we did, we went ahead and cut that for a flange weld on the top, and then we're going to have a butt weld on the bottom. You can see how I stair-stepped it. This is longer than this. This should lay right into our flange that we made, and then we got to make another cut up here to be a butt weld where our lip is for our rubber. We're going to butt weld that, we'll flange this, and then we'll butt weld this down on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and fit that in there again. And this is the situation you have. You're going to end up fitting these panels in here many, many times as you work on the car. Now, if you notice right here, this panel is sticking up. The reason that panel's sticking up is because of this right here. So what I'm going to do is get my scribe tool. I'm going to take my crow's foot, remember that? And I can already see that this is lining up a lot better just from cutting that extra meat off. I'm not putting any pressure on it like I was before, and it seems like it's going in place really nice. So that's a plus right there. And it looks like I might have to trim this up right here, because it looks like it's right on the edge of that flange, which is where we really want it. But what I really need to do is take my scribe tool, and I'm going to go inside like this, and I'm going to scribe the inside of this right here. And then if we look right there, you can see that scribe. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off so we can make this into a butt weld situation. Now when I cut this off, I'm going to actually leave a little bit more meat on it than what the line says, due to the fact that I want to be able to trim that down using my 2-inch grinder. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute here. So we're going to go just like this. Alright. And then if you look at that line right there, we still got a line there, so what I'll do with that, I'll take my 2-inch grinder and I'll finesse it to fit in there as it's on the vehicle. I'm going to put my panel back into the vehicle just like it's supposed to go, lining up the bumper holes, just like that. And then I'm going to see Now this is just where we're using our eyeballs. We're not marking anything, but I'm looking right here and I can see that we got a little bit to trim off. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is, like I said, this is where you basically just touch and go situation. You look at it and then you trim, and then you just test fit it in there. You just take a little bit off. What I'm doing, I'm using my 2-inch grinder to go ahead and remove that excess metal that I don't want. And you just want to do it nice and slow. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to, okay, look at there. Hey, we're almost there. That's almost a perfect fit. But we got a situation that this is not going down into where it's supposed to go. So that's kind of giving me a concern as well. It should be right there. And where we're up here, see? So that's telling me that we still got some trimming to do. Just like that. And then we'll fit it on there again. And now you can see that it's really starting to line up good. All right, so we're getting there. Let me see here. There we go. We don't want to take too much off. It looks like it's a little tight right there. So what I'll do now, instead of cutting our panel, I'm just going to take a little bit off right here. And like, once again, we don't want to take a lot off. All it takes is a little bit of grinding. And then, now, I think we can make that work. Once I get that up there, it's going to be a tight fit, but you know what? That's what you want. You want a nice tight fit, just like that. You can see now I got a good situation going where this will be a butt weld, and then our flange weld, where's my tool at? Let's see how far we're off on that deal. Okay, because remember, we're going to flange this section. I'm going to draw a line with my tool, and what I'm doing drawing that line, that's going to tell me how much I need to take off of this to bring it back. And when I take this off, once again, I'm going to use my 2-inch grinder to do so. And then while we have this here, I'm going to hold that right there, and I am going to draw a line using my scribe tool at the bottom here. Just like that. And what that's going to do is that is going to tell me where I need to take it off here so I can make this into a butt weld. I'm not going to take it off here, I'm going to take it off here because there's no way to get behind here to scribe the back of this panel. So we're going to go ahead and remove that out. And you can see there's my scribe line right there. And it's right on the edge of that flange. And then it looks like it comes over here and then goes down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And I'm going to stay on this side of the line. We're staying on that side of the line. We're not going to hit the middle of the line. We're not going to go on this side. We're going to go on this side of the line right here. We want some meat left so we can go ahead and do what? What do we want to do? We want to have enough meat left so we can trim our pieces up to fit nice and tight. Remember? Alright, now that we got that done, let's go ahead and take our panel, put it up on there, see where we got to trim it up, and make it fit right. So now what you're looking at, you're seeing that this is really starting to fit in there a lot better than it was when we first started. You can see how it fits real nice there. We're going to trim this edge down because it's right on the edge of our flange. And then we still got to trim a little bit of this down right here. Where's my scribe tool? You got to have that scribe tool. I'm going to bring this down to approximately right past that groove there. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and take our small grinder and we're going to go ahead and grind this lip down and get rid of some of this metal right here as well. We don't want to take too much off, just a little bit at a time. Let's see how it fits over here. Looks like we're getting a good fit. I see my flange. Looks like we've got just a little bit more to trim right in that area, and I think it's going to fit just right. Alright, before we go any further, we want to grind this area down right here and go ahead and put our flange on this area. I'm going to take my flange tool and we're going to go ahead Okay, we got a nice flange here. Let's go ahead and take the panel. We're going to stick it up here and see what we got. And now, if you look at it really nice and close, let me see if I can clamp that on there so we can look at it. We're going to get that fit in there because we're going to have to do a little shimmy-shammy over here, but we're going to get it up there so you can look at it and see what we had to do to get this baby in gear. Okay, so you can see the flange right here. Once I tack all this in and get it fit in there, it's going to fit perfect. I'm going to move this over here, and you can see just by looking at it, you can see that's going to be a nice tight butt weld. As we push it down in there, just to that level right there, you can see that's going to work out good. And then over here in this area, I still got to do a little bit of trimming. You can see right there where it's still just a little bit of an overlap. It looks like it's going to fit good right in that area. We still got to do a little grinding and fine-tuning right here. Over here, it looks like it's going to line up really nice. Look at that body line right there. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like the situation down here. We'll compensate and repair that. We got to lift the panel up into the quarter panel. This panel has got to be lifted up just a little bit higher, and that's where this tool comes in handy. And you can see now, once I did that, it's going to start lining up. Now, we don't have any of this welded in place yet. Nothing is set in stone, and we are still fitting this, as you can see, in place. But what I want to do is I want to shut the trunk. I'd like to shut the trunk and see where our lip lines up, this lip right here, and see what's going to happen with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and shut the trunk. And we're not worried about up here because we know all this is going to line up, but let's go ahead and shut that trunk. And it looks like once I get this all down, you can see that line is going to line right up. You can see right here and right here. This has got to come down just a little bit, and once we get it all lined up, I think that these aftermarket quarter panels are going to work out really good. The parts I'm talking about, quarter panel and tail light section, and I think we're going to be back in gear by putting our car where it should be and doing a nice professional restoration of this thing like it should have. So I got a little bit more fine-tuning to do. When we come back, we're going to start welding all this up and getting it all in place, and hopefully have this thing buttoned up and welded up, tacked up, and looking like an original factory OEM, factory Camaro 1967 job that it is. We'll see you later. Thank you for watching this channel. This is DIY Auto School, one word. And we are here to show you how to do stuff and to have that positive attitude that says you can do it. You saw the nightmare that I ran into. I didn't give up. I started over and I did it again. That's a prime example that if you screw up, you start over. You start over and you do it again. If it screws up, then you start over and do it again. And you keep doing it until it's right. We'll be back. Thank you.